If your baby has been diagnosed with HIE and you're hearing terms like cerebral palsy and Apgar scores, you might be wondering, what does all of this mean and how does all of this connect together? One of the first things that may have come up when your baby was born was their Apgar score. This is a score that is given shortly after delivery to measure how well your baby is doing the moments right after birth. It looks at things like your baby's heart rate, their breathing, muscle tone, reflexes, and it also goes into their skin color. But here's what's important for you to know when we're talking about Apgar scores. That score doesn't just reflect what happened the few minutes after birth. It can also tell a story as to what may have been going on earlier in labor. Now let's take some time and let's talk about this connection here. During labor, your baby's heart rate is monitored closely to look for signs that they may not be getting enough oxygen. And these types of signs can show up based on certain types of patterns on the fetal monitoring strips. Things like late decelerations, and that's where the heart rate, it drops and doesn't recover quickly, or prolonged decelerations, where the heart rate stays low for too long. These are the types of patterns and more that can be red flags and can suggest in some instances fetal distress. When these types of signs are caught early and acted on quickly, it can make the difference in how well your baby does. Sometimes that means adjusting medications like Pitocin, helping the baby move into a better position, or if necessary, moving to an emergency C-section. But if these types of patterns are missed or ignored or not addressed in time, the baby can experience oxygen deprivation. And that lack of oxygen can result in low Apgar scores and potentially long-term injuries like CP and an HIE brain injury. So when you hear that your baby had low Apgar scores, it's not just a number on a chart, it's a clue. It's a way of asking, was there something else that could have been done differently during labor? Was your baby's distress noticed? Were the right steps taken to protect them? Now, it's also important to point out that a low Apgar score doesn't automatically mean that mistakes were made during labor, but it can be a starting point. So, for example, were the fetal monitoring strips, were they reviewed carefully? Were there delays in responding to signs of distress? And if interventions were delayed, why did this take place? These are the types of questions that can come up in many of the cases that I have handled previously, and they're often the same questions that parents like you are left asking when their baby has an HIE diagnosis or a subsequent CP diagnosis. The Apgar score, in combination with labor monitoring records, can help piece together what may have happened and whether your baby's HIE brain injury and subsequent CP diagnosis, whether that could have been prevented. Again, I'm Marcus Boston. If you have any other questions about your baby's HIE brain injury at birth or a subsequent cerebral palsy diagnosis, if you have these types of questions from a medical legal standpoint, do not hesitate to reach out and contact me. You can find out more information about me. If you take a look at my profile, you can find out information about me there, or you can just wait and watch the picture that follows this video. All right, that's going to be it for this cold evening's short educational video. Have a great evening, everybody.